Hey everybody, welcome to my latest video in which we're discussing who is Retribution. Now, of course, since Retribution debuted, it could be a wide variety of WWE or SmackDown or NXT. The point being is the possibilities are endless. Now, it's been rumored or pretty much confirmed that the actual members haven't been revealed yet because they're still trying to work that. Although I believe that's actually a swerve they're feeding to the press. So I've got quite a few possibilities who it could be, who it could not be. Now, some of them are possibilities just because we haven't seen them in a while. Like, for instance, Carmella hasn't been on in a while, so she could be one. But in fact, I would not be surprised if she's revealed to be at least a partial member. You know, for a while I was thinking maybe Kevin Owens, but I don't. There's something we need to address. So let's talk about this a little bit further. First of all, Shane McMahon. Now, around the same time that the Retribution attacked was when Shane McMahon made his return. So it would make sense if the Retribution group is tied to Shane McMahon. In fact, he's probably would not be shocked if he's revealed to be the person who is letting them in the building if they're not already active roster members. Now, most people seem to believe that a lot of them probably are at least portrayed by NXT members at this time. But once again, there's going to be some interesting swerves. Now, let me go through here. Okay, so The Miz has been rumored quite a few times and hinted at that he is a member. However, I definitely think this is a swerve. Something that keeps getting brought up is whenever everyone comes out on SmackDown, The Miz is always the last one to show up, usually after everyone's left, which would imply he might be in them, takes his mask off and runs around. However, I don't think The Miz is, but I would not be surprised if his wife Maurice is, because he said he got a call from Maurice right before the attack. That would make sense if she doesn't want her husband to get ambushed. In fact, it could be a clear implication that they're trying to keep him out because someone inside the Retribution does not want The Miz attacked. And so it would make sense if Maurice is a member but not The Miz. Now, if you're wondering why I got a picture of X-Pac, I would not be surprised if the Retribution was led by a former NWO member. It feels like more of an NWO bit. Now, something that should also be addressed was the NWO has been scheduled for a Hall of Fame induction for a while. It's been delayed twice for COVID-19 issues, which is completely justifiable. But that also means that X-Pac might be available to do an angle or two. Obviously, I don't think Nash or Hogan or Scott Hall would be available. But if it was Sean Waltman as one of the least active members of the Retribution, it would be definitely a nice reveal. It would also kind of go back to the ideas that they are out for some kind of crazy revenge or some kind of chaos. This definitely could be a fun, if it's revealed, to have an NWO tie-in. So Xbox, I would love if it was revealed. It's possible. There's always a good swerve that it could be him. So let's once again look at the roster. Now, when we're talking about the Retribution, what are they wanting Retribution for? Well, my theory, and I think it's pretty clear, is there's two possibilities. One, they're working specifically for one crazy member of the group, of the roster. So your options, of course, would be either Bray Wyatt or, lately, since he's been the Messiah, Seth Rollins. Now, Rollins himself was in a match where the Retribution stormed in, but they never went after him. He ran and watched from the distance. So that could be an interesting implication. That could also just be a simple swerve. Now, if it was revealed Rollins was tied to him, it would make sense, and once again, it's part of his Messiah bit. But now, here's where it gets more interesting. What if they're wanting Retribution for a specific thing that's happened to each one of them individually, as if they've been injured? Now, Rollins himself had suffered a couple of major injuries, but he's also notoriously injured quite a few people in the past because of his sometimes aggressive wrestling style. So what if the majority of the Retribution members are wrestlers who got injured in kind of unfair ways, or in some cases had near career or career-ending injuries, and want their revenge for actions that WWE has done since? So once again, who is Retribution? Well, here's some. Let's look at this. Now, this is once again kind of hard to go by because, it seems that all indications these are probably not your actual members of Retribution. Then again, it could be. It's more of what their actions are and what they're saying. So, for instance, some people suspect that could have been Keith Lee right there, or possibly Xavier Woods. Now, Xavier Woods would be an interesting choice because he has been out with a bad, serious leg injury. Other possibilities, and this is the one I'm most interested in, we'll discuss in a minute. Who is this? Whose skin is that pale? We'll get to this. Remember, I'm talking about injury angles. Okay, so just for curiosity, would The Undertaker be directly involved? He's had some serious injuries over the years. Now, he says he is done, but he said he's been done multiple times. Now, if it was The Undertaker, I think you could tell pretty quickly that it was The Undertaker. He's just that kind of a person. The way he walked, the way he moved. But if it was revealed The Undertaker was connected somehow to this group, that would not be a shock. But now, it seems that all indication The Undertaker is done. But, once again, every time he says he's done, he makes a return. So, I could see The Undertaker being involved if we wanted to have a real shocker. I'm going to put this as a low possibility, but once again, fits my theme of injured wrestlers wanting their revenge. AJ Lee. AJ's been retired, theoretically, for a long time. But if they wanted to do another shock, it makes sense for her to be back in this group. It would also make sense if she was kind of doing these random attacks. Her history of being kind of a mentally out there person would kind of fit the idea of maybe she's part of some crazy attack group. It would also kind of go with this the idea that these are not active members, they're sneaking in. They have some sort of revenge reason. Her revenge reasons would be more interesting because of other connections. Now, several people have said Baron Corbin could be involved. Now, I've seen him run out at SmackDown to try to stop them, but he's been in these weird second waves as he came out not first, but second. Now, Corbin's pretty notoriously not liked kayfabe. I don't know what's like backstage, but he's, had his own issues over the years. So I would say Corbin could be an interesting factor. Him constantly trying to hire bounties on people is another interesting side bit. Now, if he was revealed to be a member, it would be a little bit out of the theory, but it would also, the idea is, every time he's had a push, they don't seem to give him much to do with. Now he's King Corbin, and it's going to be kind of a bit of a joke. He's also a very, very successful heel, so I don't think they would need to put him in this. But if he's sick and tired, if his character is sick and tired of being the king, I can see him doing some attacks. Okay, Bayley. Now this is an interesting one. What's Bayley more to Retribution? Well, see, here's where it gets interesting. Bayley has definitely had her character messed with over the years. She's had a few minor injuries, but if we're talking as somebody who wants to some kind of retribution, she could be angry at a lot of different things. But more importantly, they could be she might have some kind of retribution against a specific person. She could also find herself in an alliance with somebody who wants revenge at this particular person. We'll get to that in a minute when we get a little bit further. Okay, John Cena. Now, Cena hasn't been seen on TV since WrestleMania, where he mysteriously vanished after being pinned in the Funhouse match. I don't know what John Cena's been doing lately, but if it was revealed he was involved in Retribution, that would be an interesting twist as well. It's been impossible to make John Cena a heel. So if he was revealed to be part of this group, it would definitely be an interesting attempt to give him one heel run, which I think he's wanted for a long time. But at the same time, if you reveal him to be part of Retribution, are they heels or are they heroes? Which gets back to my idea is these are injured wrestlers wanting revenge. I could see Cena being a member. He's had his fair share of injuries. He's had title strips from him because of injuries. He's had a lot lost over the years because of injuries. So yes, John Cena could be an active member. Alright, CM Punk. Here's who a lot of people have been suspicious that it might be a CM Punk deal. And I personally think it is definitely going to be a CM Punk reveal. The attackers tend to have pipes, so the whole pipe bomb reference. The way they just kind of jump out of nowhere. Now, Punk has had this bit in the past where he'll go to indie shows, put a mask on, and jump in and do like a run-in. So this would definitely fit in this. Now, Punk show was recently canceled, which was, of course, the backstage, and he wasn't a actor. He was kind of more recurring there. But the fact that he's been doing stuff with WWE, even though through the Fox Sports deal, means he's in better terms with Vince. If you want to have a nice twist, I would say have him. If he is revealed, I think the best way to do it would be to have him jump somebody, do a GT, go to sleep, and of course, once he's the only one that does that move, that would be the great way to reveal and have him pull his mask off. Now, and of course, he famously has had a notorious story about his injuries that WWE did not properly take care of. The one that he could have lost an arm. So, if anyone has an injury revenge, it would be Punk. He literally had to quit the company to get proper health care. He went into MMA fighting because he thought it was safer. So I could definitely see Punk being a specific member. And of course that would also explain why AJ Lee would be back too, because his wife would be there willing revenge for some of the stuff that was done to both of them, but specifically to him. So yeah, I think Punk is probably the number one likeliness, except for one more person. So of course, one of the things that's great about the Retribution, it's a men and women group. So they're not all very specific, but we'll see in a second as we go through here. Finn Balor. Okay. Finn Balor literally had the Universal Championship in his hands, but because of essentially a pretty rough injury he got while facing Seth Rollins, he had to relinquish it, take time off, and has never really gotten a proper push since. He had that one shot against Brock Lesnar, but never after that. In fact, they even wrote into how he seemed to be completely ignored. He got into feuds with Bray Wyatt during kind of low times. Now he's gone back to NXT and kind of adapted the Prince Balor thing. But the last time he was on regular WWF TV, he was essentially murdered by The Fiend. He seems to be the first example of if the Fiend takes you out, you go raging angry. Now, something should be brought up is when the Retribution attacked a while back, when the Fiend was in the ring, they did nothing to the Fiend. The Fiend stood there, waved at Braun Strowman, and disappeared, as if they were under his control. Now, if they're trying to imply that the Fiend or Bray Wyatt controls them, not certain, but it would make sense if the Fiend got ties to them, or more importantly, they just don't want to take him on. I think the idea that if it is Finn Balor is one of the major members, while going after him would be an interesting point. Reality, he wants revenge for the way he got treated after he got badly injured. Now, the fact that they didn't go after Seth Rollins is an interesting side bit, but I think that's what the point is. They're waiting for the moment to attack Seth Rollins unless Rollins is a member. Okay, now let's look at this shot's been brought up a few times, which is who is we know there's some women in the group. They made it very clear when the women literally let their hair come out and started attacking women wrestlers. So let's zoom in on this a little bit more. Resize. Well, anyway, as you see, we got some pink or purple hair. Now, there are some theories that this could be an allusion to quite a few other NXT wrestlers. Now, there's also a possibility that it could have been Sasha Banks. Now, I definitely don't think Sasha Banks has any ties to Retribution. She seems to be the one I think would be one of the ones being targeted. Well, this also goes back to my theory that Bayley could be a member because this is part of her. She's going to get her attack on Banks. But see, specifically somebody wants Banks out bad, I think. Banks hasn't been jumped yet, but just because she seems to be dodging it. But I definitely think this could be somebody else. Now, the purple also could make an inflation. It's a New Day. Xavier Woods, as we brought up a couple times, is definitely a possibility. His injury has been pretty bad. He's been out for quite a long time. If anybody, now there was rumors he was the hacker. If anybody wants a revenge, it could be Woods. Now, why would Big E be being attacked, seen regularly, unless a specific person is mad that he's going solo and not waiting for the New Day to return? He could also be mad that Kofi got hurt in that match with Big E. So the question then becomes: is Xavier Woods a member? I think that most definitely. I think it's a great way not to break up the New Day, but to reveal that, or just do a nice little feud with Big E, that maybe Big E is out of the New Day. It could also be, if Xavier wants to go solo, the best way to do this would be, instead of breaking up the New Day, joining the Retribution, and then leading to an eventual storyline where he returns to the New Day. Could be also all three members of the New Day are, in fact, members of Retribution, and that Big E's attacks have been part of a swerve. Alright, Rhea Ripley. She, I think, definitely would be a perfect choice for the Retribution. She has been in an interesting case where she's probably the most talented person in NXT for the women. Probably way more talented than most of the wrestlers on the main roster, too. And yet she seems to be kind of getting quietly less used. So I would definitely think Rhea Ripley would be a great choice. If there's a way to call her up, this is the perfect way to have her an active member of Retribution and have her be one of the main forces. That she wants Retribution. More importantly, how so many NXT wrestlers have not gotten called up or not gotten their proper pushes. Now, here's who I think is the actual leader and founder of the Retribution. And that would be Paige. Now, if you watch some of the videos, some of the attackers have said, "This is our house now." Now, that tends to be a quote that Paige has said in the past. "This is my house now," or "This is our," she tends that is a Paige quote. Now, Paige suffered a career-ending neck injury after another serious neck injury. Now, she's also got her own movie through the WWE, so they want to use her as much as possible. Now, whether or not she's ever going to be medically cleared seems unknown. If she did get medically cleared, I think it would be a great shock. But, like I said, nobody thought Edge would be medically cleared, and he got medically cleared. So maybe she's been going to the same specialist to help Edge. Who knows? But if she was revealed at least to be in a managerial role, it would make sense. If she's the front leader of the group. It would explain why it's kind of a mix of men and women, because she's putting this group together of people who have been basically badly ruined by careless wrestling in the WWE. So my main suspect is that if Sasha Banks gets jumped, it'll be because Paige wants her revenge for the neck injury she got through by Sasha Banks. Now, she said in the past she doesn't blame Sasha Banks, but for good storyline purposes, it would be the perfect sense for her to, having already also lost the backstage show, to get revenge. So I could see her and Punk, AJ, and they start to put this group together, and it's quick and easily able to get as many potential people interested in attacking as possible. On an unrelated note, this is a good way to keep all these people from jumping to AEW. Now, is Roman Reigns a member of Retribution? See, here's where it gets, I wouldn't assume not, but he himself has had, his career cut short because of health. Now, granted, it was cancer, but he's also been injured before. So he comes back, and he doesn't seem to get his title shot for quite a while. And he got a lot of flack for not doing WrestleMania because of COVID-19. Now, he's currently working with Paul Heyman. It appears to be he's done a heel turn. So, if the Retribution group revealed that he was a member or another co-leader, it's possible. I don't know if you're going to have Punk, you would need to have Roman Reigns, but it's a possibility. It's a likeliness as well. His push seems to be slowed down because of issues. Now, he would also have, it would explain why Seth Rollins was not attacked. He's trying to watch out for Seth, or they all have plans for Seth later on. Now, I would not be surprised if there are also illusions that if you're a member of the Shield, you're a member of Retribution, whether or not you know it or not. And lastly, Ronda Rousey. Now, I think it would not be surprised if the other horsewomen of the MMA, like Shayna Baszler, Jessamyn Duke, Marina Shafir, are all active members of this group. So, we don't know what's going on with Ronda Rousey. We don't know if she's officially active or not. She's been very quiet over the years. Now, a few months ago, she was filmed. A picture was taken of her, believe it or not, with Brock Lesnar at the Performance Center. There was rumors she was going to be making a comeback, but hasn't happened. We don't know what's going on with her status. But another nice reveal will be if they are there to make an attack. Now, I think the original plan was to bring her back for a Survivor Series match between the 4 horsemen of the MMA and the 4 horsemen of the WWE. But with Becky Lynch being pregnant, you would, of course, hold that to see if Becky comes back next year and do it then. That alone could be a WrestleMania event. You know, the horsewoman versus horsewoman match. And, of course, they said Charlotte won't be back until the end of the summer or in the year. Now, I have suspected Charlotte could be a member as well. She's had some serious injuries that have not been addressed, and her whole family has had serious injuries. So I could easily not be surprised if it's revealed that quite a few Retribution members have Flair family connections. However, with Andrade being attacked, that brings up an interesting question. Would they attack her fiance? But when Zelina Vega was pounded on, that brought up an interesting question. Why would they go after Zelina Vega unless somebody wants her out of the way? So I could see Charlotte, but I definitely think if Ronda Rousey was revealed, it would make perfect sense. These are, there seems to be an ongoing theme that the Retribution people are a little more vicious in their attacks, and Ronda Rousey seems to have a good reason to be mad. Becky Lynch stole her spotlight, and they never gave her proper respect anyway. So that's the end of my theories. If we'll go back, we'll just do a quick refresh again. So who all could be involved? So we got, is it Roman Reigns? Is it Paige? I think definitely Paige. Is it Rhea Ripley? Likely. Xavier Woods or any of the New Day? Probable. Finn Balor? Definitely. CM Punk? Unless there's a big not likely. I'm almost saying 95% is CM Punk. John Cena, I'm gonna say maybe, but not. It'd be a great shock, but once again, it just depends on what he's doing. Baron Corbin, no. Bayley, that would be a good swerve. It would also work. The idea is she's trying to make sure that people like Sasha Banks are not going to go after her. And I could see her being more loyal to Paige than Sasha at this point. AJ Lee, if CM Punk is, I think AJ Lee is as well. The Undertaker. It'd be a great shock if it was revealed. I'm going to put this as a maybe, just because it would be funny if it was The Undertaker. I'm retired is, once again, a typical Undertaker comment. But then again, it might not be Undertaker as much as Mark Calloway wants his revenge. So, as you can see here, as we've discussed, we don't know if any of these people are going to actually be members of Retribution, because these may just be fill-ins. So, but who is Retribution? It's as we've gone through, it's a big wide variety. It could be, as we said, any one of these members. Anyone could be a Retribution member. The fact that some people have been attacked by Retribution could still be a swerve. Now, if Samoa Joe was revealed to be a member, I would definitely think it's likely. So the question is Samoa Joe one? Are any of the released wrestlers, like the Good Brothers, possibly? Not likely. They're under contracts. Is Alexa Bliss one? Maybe. She's acting crazy early. We haven't seen much of any of some of these other wrestlers. Ali would make sense. He seems to have suffered some rough times. Ember Moon, we don't even know what her status is currently. So Ember Moon's a possibility. I don't think somebody like Jeff Hardy, although if Matt Hardy went with AEW, this would be a perfect Matt Hardy angle. We know Brock Lesnar is officially done for now, and I don't think we will see Brock Lesnar in this anymore. So, once again, could it be X-Pac? I would not be surprised if X-Pac was revealed to be part of this. And finally, I don't think it's The Miz, but I definitely think Shane is the mastermind, or at least an accomplice. So, once again, I think we're going to go... If you have any other theories, please comment down. But once again, if you think I'm right about that these are injured wrestlers wanting their revenge, please comment, please share, please subscribe. Thank you all.